to the cloud because that's easier. You probably all got the pop-up. The recording has started. So, pull up my document for taking notes. And let's get started. Okay, so our first item on the agenda, first of all, thank you everybody for coming to our first Green Team meeting of the spring semester. And our first item on the agenda is signage for campus bins. So Deb was awesome enough to help me get that ordered. Christina Wynn was awesome enough to pay for it. I don't ultimately know whose budget it came out of, but Deb, I think you were muted, so.
Facilities covered that, so.
Facilities covered
Yep.
that. Well, thank you to you, Deb, and Chris, and all the facilities folks for making that happen. Because the quote that we got was pretty much our entire Green Team budget for the year. So now we can still do some other stuff. The only thing that is remaining with the signs is actually getting them hung up. So Deb, I know I sent some emails and here's Jay and Kathy. Awesome. Thank you folks for joining us. We are still looking to get those fasteners. I don't know if those have arrived or if they're on order or.
I believe we have them. It's just a matter of time with the snow and everything, I think, till they can get them
Gotcha.
hung, but.
Gotcha. Fantastic.
I'll follow up on it.
Yeah, as soon as you have them in hand, let me know. And I think some Green Team folks, at least I'm hoping some Green Team folks would be willing to volunteer and go around and put those signs up around campus. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to put them right on the bins, and once we have those facilities approved fasteners, you can really kind of put it on the bin however folks prefer. Right now, I have the signs in what I'm calling my classroom because I'm the only one teaching out of it this semester. That's the IT Essentials Lab, which is right across from the Writing Center. So if anybody needs to get access to those, the main classroom key, if you happen to have a copy of it, we'll get you into that room. You got to kind of fiddle with the lock a little bit. It's a little funny. I can also let folks in the room. Security can let you in the room. But once we have those fasteners, we should try to get those up as soon as we can because Recyclemania started over the weekend, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So thank you for your help with that, Deb. And Jay is here as well. Jay, thank you for your help in designing those signs. That was super awesome. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add on the signs before we move on to our next item? Okay, I did forget to mention there's also there's a little QR code. Actually, it's a pretty big QR code on the signs that you can scan on your phone, which will bring you straight to a video of how to recycle things on campus. Cool. All right, our second item is about EV charging. I saw him this morning when I was on campus. I sent an email to Dave Moran about a week or so ago asking if he would like to either come to this meeting and give us an update or reply to my email with an update. So I'll reach back out to Dave, see if we can get an update in time for our next meeting. But it was basically everything that Tony had sent me. I kind of put into that email with Dave, like about getting maybe plugs on the light posts, or maybe there's even plans to install full charging stations. Last I knew, we were on a list to get some charging stations installed on campus. And I'm not sure if we've moved up on the list, down on the list, if the list is even still a thing. So hopefully as soon as I get a update from Dave, I will update everybody else on it as well. Anything else anyone would like to talk about EV charging on campus? Okay, I'm not seeing anything, so we're going to move on to the next item. For folks who've been in these meetings before, you'll know that I run a pretty tight ship. We go through these agenda items pretty quickly. So our goal is to get everybody out of here as efficiently as possible while we still pick up all of our stuff. And you are welcome for the update, Tony. So meetings this semester, traditionally in the past, the Green Team has met usually once a month, so like every 4 weeks or so. However, since we have so much stuff that we want to try to do this semester, I actually scheduled the meetings for every 3 weeks. So there are some months where we meet twice, but the whole point is the meetings are a little bit more frequent. We're able to squeeze in, I think, 2 more meetings total, scheduling it that way. Everyone should have a copy of the meetings on their calendar. The sign up for the Green Team mail list is on our Green Team website. And you all made it here, so clearly you're getting the emails. Any questions or comments about the every 3 weeks? I see Roberta said in the chat, good idea. All right. So moving right along, our next item was about battery recycling on campus. So our original plan was to use the Green Team budget to purchase some battery recycling buckets on campus. And this is something that Green Team used to kind of do, and I say kind of because we had help from Beat before COVID. We had battery recycling spots on campus where people could just pitch in batteries to be recycled. And when those filled up, they would get shipped out. But we haven't done that in quite some time. And one of the main obstacles is those programs are actually pretty expensive. Usually I'm doing some shopping around, or about $150 to $200 for a bucket, and the buckets really aren't even that big. I don't remember off the top of my head how big the bucket sizes were, but that I think our Green Team budget this year is like $500. So even one of those buckets would be almost half of our budget. So in order to save our budget for other things that we want to do, which possibly include t-shirts and things, we'll talk about that later in the semester. I don't think Green Team has ever done t-shirts, at least not since I've been around. The idea was here at Williams, where I spend most of my day, I noticed that there are battery recycling buckets all over campus. They're in the science buildings. We have a big one here in the IT building. So my thinking was maybe the folks would like to partner with BCC and we can kind of join forces. And I sent those emails. I got bounced around a little bit trying to find the right person to talk to. And the right person to talk to is currently on sick leave, and they plan to be back in another week or so. So I hope to have another update by the time we meet next. But I think what I'm going to propose, because they had some concerns, that maybe stuff would end up in the recycling bucket that doesn't belong there. And I told them that before I, delivered anything and dumped it into a bucket here at Williams, I would scan the bucket to make sure that wasn't the case. They were also concerned about the quantity. As I mentioned, these things aren't cheap, and I guess it's an area on campus that disposes of it looks like they're in charge of hazardous material disposal all over campus. And they also happen to run this battery recycling program. So their concern was, will it affect their budget? And it might. So what I'm going to suggest to them when we talk a little bit more about it is to maybe just do it as a trial, try it for the rest of the semester and see what happens. If things go well, maybe we can keep doing it. If they don't go well for any of the many reasons, plus use your imagination reasons, then perhaps it'll be a one and done kind of thing. We can always buy the buckets ourselves. So Cody, I know you're working on budget stuff. That might be something worth just building into the budget.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we're in the process of figuring out the budget for the next fiscal year. And that's something that, depending on how this goes with LIMS, or even outside of that, we'll be wanting to get some more funds available for that and other initiatives like it in the future. So
yeah, I think at this point, our plan should be to just kind of like add that as a request on the budget and just kind of see where it goes. I was hoping that the folks here at Williams would be excited and happy to do it, but their first reaction was, whoa, wait a minute, let's talk about this. So like, not exactly the big happy collaboration I was hoping for. So it can't hurt to include it into our budget, just kind of see what happens. And we'll go from there. I hope to have more on that our next meeting in 3 weeks-ish. Anything else on battery recycling? Any comments, questions, ideas? Okay. I am not seeing anything, so we're gonna move on to our next item, which is Campus Race to Zero Waste. I still call it Recycle Mania. I prefer the old name. The new name just doesn't roll off the tongue like it used to. The competitions, like I mentioned earlier, started over the weekend. And I have a bunch of helpers and volunteers. Since I'm on campus Tuesday mornings, I've been doing Tuesday morning checks myself. So I did one this morning. Cody's been helping out. Sean, who's not here, has 2 days he's doing. And Jennifer Hoffman, she has a day as well. And so we're we're kind of just in week one. We'll have our first reporting sometime next week. And then within a week or so of that, we'll have an idea of how we're doing as the competition kind of shapes up. But for folks who might not know, I think most everybody here does, Recycle Mania Campus Race to Zero Waste. It's a nationwide, actually it's a worldwide now competition where colleges and universities compete to see who can recycle the most. And it's also scaled per your student and staff FTE. So bigger schools, there's kind of an equation they use to compare to the smaller schools like BCC. Some of the schools in the competition are quite large. One of the interesting things as a trend that I've noticed, and I don't know if this is a post-pandemic trend or what is causing this, but there used to be like over 300 schools that would compete. And last I looked, it was down to about 100. So a lot of folks, I don't know why they haven't been, maybe they just don't like the name, is just like I'm feeling about the name. But I have noticed that throughout the years, the participation just kind of universally seems to be going down. So thank you to all the folks who are helping out and participating. We'll have more messages and more stuff about that as we move through the competition. It really takes about 2 weeks before we know where we're at in the competition and to get into the swing of things. And I really appreciate all of the help because I'm not on campus every day. So it's super helpful to have folks who are also willing to check those bids. All right. So any other thoughts or ideas, comments, anything on Campus Race to Zero Waste / Recycle Mania? All right, I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on to our next item. And our next item is community cleanups this spring. So in the past, the Green Team has done community cleanups. We've done cleanups before at we did a park last year, and then the year before that we did an elementary school or a middle school. I can't remember the exact name of the school, but it was pretty nearby. And so I figured we would kind of plan the same thing again this year, that we will put together some sort of community cleanup. And generally we do this April-ish. Oh, and I see Dave just popped on, so I'm gonna bug him about EV charging in just a little bit. But does anybody have any ideas for maybe locations in the community, any spots they might have seen? We tend to like to keep it to Pittsfield because that's where BCC is located. And if nobody has any ideas, that's okay. So I'm kind of opening it up to the group if anybody has anything in mind. You can also send me an email later on.
Schools, elementary schools.
Did you say Wolf Elementary School?
Sorry to just pop in like that.
No, you're good.
There's a school right on the same road as BCC. I just don't happen to know the name of it, and I think it's an elementary school.
It's Crosby. That's where my partner works.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we can always reach out to them. Generally, like they're getting, a crew of people to show up for free. The only thing we ask of them is, please tell us where to put the trash that we collect when it's all said and done. So most of the time they have dumpsters or they tell us an area to leave it. But I'm gonna note in my notes here, Crosby.
And Christian, if we do decide Crosby and someone needs a contact or help kind of getting a foot in the door to set it up, just let me know.
Sounds good. I appreciate that, Gab. All right. So let's run with that. We'll see if we can make that happen. And we usually schedule it for a Saturday sometime in April-ish, late April. Because it's really gross to pick up frozen wet trash. Like, some of the trash is going to be gross anyway, but it doesn't need to be frozen and or wet. So that's why we generally do April. And we'll do everything that we normally do to advertise that, promote it, try to get folks to turn out. All right. Any other thoughts or ideas on community cleanup?
What about parks? Like Dorothy Amos Park is on West Street as well.
What was the name of that park?
Dorothy
That's the one
Amos,
down. Yeah,
I believe
that's
that's
the
what it's
one-
called on West Street. Yep.
that's the one down by that weird problem intersection as of late,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah, and there's no reason why, perhaps we have two good spots and we just do two community cleanups. Great. Plus, it's always good to have a backup in case I reach out to Crosby and they're like, no, actually, we're good. We don't want that. So again, I can't imagine anybody would turn down, free community service like that. All right. Since there doesn't look to be anything left on this, since Dave Moran popped in, Dave, I don't know if you're multitasking on your lunch, but one of the
So-
things that we discussed was EV charging. I don't know if there's any updates that you might have for us, or if you saw my email.
Hey, can you hear me?
Dodo, I can hear you. Yes.
All right, so I was asking some questions in the chat. I had to step out of
Oh, I
class
must
to
have
send you
missed-
this.
I must have missed them. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
go
you could
ahead.
just read that real quick.
Are we allowed to do magnet fishing for waterway cleanup? Well, it depends on if they have a waterway in their area or not. And then we just have to think about like what kind of dangers are associated with that. But we could talk more about that offline. I'm not going to rule it out completely, but it depends on the area that we end up in. And I'm just making sure that it's safe for everybody and not going to blow our insurance or anything like that. Okay, Dave, I see you unmuted. Do you have any updates or news for us on EV charging on campus?
Yeah, somewhat. When I had received your email, actually, 2 or 3 weeks prior, I had reached out to DOER just to kind of loop back and touch base with them several years ago. And I think you had touched base on this in your email as well. We were in discussions about having some solar canopies put on campus, in the 3 parking lot areas, North Central and the Patterson lot. And of course, at the front end of that entire project, our site was deemed very, very positive, very highly rated and beneficial because of the basically the soil composition, was very good. It was very solid for the construction of these canopies, as well as it being an open site, not many, if any at all, obstructions. We had a good amount of sunlight throughout the day and essentially throughout the year. And then if you might also remember is that as we moved into round 2, unfortunately, we had the highest utility cost related to a project of everybody who was on the list. So we kind of plummeted down out of the top tier of the projects. And so that was several years ago, and we had kept in contact with the company, and they were out here on site several times, with some proposed plans for what we would install here on campus. And then, of course, with the pandemic and everything, things kind of got quiet. So I had reached out to DOER to find out if anything was going on still with the previous project, and they had indicated that that iteration of it, is done. They had done a few sites across the state, but then, everything else kind of fizzled out. However, on the positive side, the good news part is that they are looking to kick off a new plan coming up this year. They had indicated to me perhaps late spring, early summer, where it's going to be, a similar plan where it's going to involve solar canopies and certainly electric vehicle charging stations, because, in the time since the last plan is that EV usage and demand has certainly increased, so it has certainly become even more important than in the past. So right now we're kind of in a holding pattern just to see, upon the release of the new program of, what that's going to entail. And certainly, as always, it has been the case in the past, is that we want to kind of be right at the forefront. And, we anxiously await understanding what the program is going to entail and what we can do to, get on board and certainly get into the queue to hopefully get some charging stations here on our campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. That's a really positive update. Does anybody have any questions or anything else any questions for Dave, or anything else they want to mention about EV charging?
I think one of the things I'd like to just put out there to the group, something to kind of have in the back of your mind and think about is, possible locations on campus. If we have, one central location, or if we have multiple locations on campus where we could install the chargers. I know, originally when previously there was another funding source and another project that we were chasing. It was just a single charging station that we were trying to obtain for campus. And we had identified like the second tier down at Patterson, for a location for that, figuring that, whether it were for people on our campus, students, faculty, and staff, or even just the general public, I guess a lot of times with the electric vehicles is, I guess, you all have a map in there where it kind of shows where there's nearby charging stations. So we figured that it'd be something, if somebody comes down West Street, boom, it would be right there. But certainly, I could envision at the very least having maybe 2 locations on campus, maybe one across the street at Stanley Patterson, and then one up on the main campus, be it in the visitors lot, or somewhere else. Certainly maybe I'd be more than welcome and open to everyone's thoughts and ideas for that, for where they see it could be beneficial for everyone.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think most people would say the more charging spots, the better. And having one on each side of campus, each side of West Street would be ideal as well. Great. Any thoughts, any questions for Dave? Anything else on EV charging from the group? It's definitely something we'll, anytime you want to give us an update, Dave, feel free to reach out to me, and you're welcome to either come in person like you are right now, or I can also read your emails or any notes that you might have for the group. But I really appreciate your work on this, Dave.
No problem at all.
Great. All right. And I think Tony will be happy to hear that there's some progress on that too. He had to leave, but I'll send him a message to let him know he might want to check out the recording. Okay, so on to our next topic, Earth Day. Earth Day is April 22nd this year. Let's see, that is nope, that's the wrong month. 22nd, that is a Monday this year. Not the most convenient day for an Earth Day, but that's the day that it is. So in the past, the Green Team has often done Earth Day events. We've the past several years, we have combined with student affairs, student events, and done the planting. I forget exactly what they call it. Plant one on us, something like that, in the connector. We could certainly reach out to Tina and her crew again and see if they want to partner with us again. The sooner the better for planning. We've had really good turnout on those events, and we've also used it as an opportunity to have the green team there to get people to sign up and join us and or ask questions, find out what we're all about. Unless anybody has any other ideas or anything they'd like to say about our previous events, I think I'd like to try to do the same thing again. Oh, and Linda has also come with her jazz plants. If folks haven't heard Linda's jazz plants, that's what I call them at least. There's probably a better scientific name for them. But I love the jazz plants, Linda. So of course you're always welcome to come along. You always have new equipment when I see you too.
Yeah, I'm looking at my schedule right now. I don't know if I'm gonna have a schedule conflict this semester, particularly on a Monday, because there's a lab I'm doing teaching, and it runs from something like 11 a.m. to 1:45. So
I think
that's
what we
kind of,
did last year, yeah, Linda, I think what we did last year was we did it on a Thursday, the same week as Earth Day, because we
oh
found
yeah,
that
I wasn't doing adjunct stuff either.
yeah,
But I'm doing that now, so there's like, extra stuff I'm doing that I wasn't doing
sure.
last year. So, well, I'll see what kind of miracles I can pull out of my keister.
Well, I get it. Not only do I have this Williams gig, but I've also got 2 classes, a lab, and a couple independent studies. So I know what it's like to keep busy, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But let me reach out to Tina and the folks that we've coordinated with in the past, see if she's interested in doing that event again. We've always got really good turnout. And one of the highlights too is leftover seeds generally all go to Roberta, and she ends up planting those in the community garden in many cases. Awesome. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add about Earth Day or Earth Day events, past, present, future? Okay. Speaking of Roberta, it is time for the Roberta update. I have the pollinator community garden, the nature trail sign refresh, and the Hoffman raised beds project. So Roberta, take it away.
Okie dokie. All right. Just writing one extra. I have my little system here that I'm writing things down on. Okay. So first one is Hoffman. We still need math help. Math as in mathematics help, because I'm no math whiz, never have been, never probably will be. And Donna Kalinowski has offered to help. It mainly is that we need to figure out the exact square footage so we can tell Gina Steck what our exact square footage is. It's not holding up a whole lot of things. There's other things we need to get in place with that. And then the other update on Hoffman is Tom Tyning and I came to an agreement that we should really try to do shrubs, native shrubs, and make it like a demonstration garden in front of Hoffman. And that's the shrub thing is something that we've been talking about for a long time because it's a lot lower maintenance. Okay, so that's for Hoffman. And then, event tomorrow on Zoom, Bill McKibben, and I emailed it to almost everybody so you guys all know, and it's looks like unlimited sort of attendance because people just keep registering, apparently. It's an Ollie event. So you guys all got that on email this morning or last week or whenever. Garden. I'm working on a potting project at the garden that's at the Pollinator Pathway, aka Community Garden. And slow but sure, we got all this great soil. So if you notice when you drive by, there's all these pots lined up. And I've been putting plants in there, flower bulbs, all kinds of stuff so that we can put color and beautiful stuff around campus that is like movable, like in a pot. And you'd be like, here's some tulips. We'll just put it in front of the door. Kind of, you know what I mean? And so that project's well on its way. In the next few weeks, I might need some help moving some of those pots closer to the raised beds and opening up that space there to put other stuff there. Christy Gray said a very, very nice thing. I was worried that it looked messy. because usually there's all these plants and you can't see all the pots. But he's like, look at the rest of the campus. It's fine. Don't worry. So if you'd like to have some time in potting stuff up or moving the pots with me anytime during February, please let me know. We've had a wacky climate winter, so there hasn't been much snow or ice there. So it's pretty easy to still do gardening. Okay, the other thing on this is, oh, that's another thing. Hold on, I'll get to that. Ward's Nursery has reiterated that we can get plant donations either for Hoffman or for the pollinator garden, because I was down there a few weeks back, which is really nice because they're a local business and they have high quality plants. Okay, the next thing is trail. The John Lambert Nature Trail is super surprised. A lot of people responded to the email that got sent out before Christmas, and people have had all kinds of questions. I've tried to stay on top of answering each person at a time. But just so you guys know, it's completely blazed and pretty easy to follow if you're going from west to east right now. And a great other fellow student named Dodo helped me do a bunch of the blaze work, and the blazes look very neat and very consistent. It's really good looking. Oh, I also still have a few of the trail maintenance manuals left. We got permission from a place in, I want to say Wisconsin or Minnesota. I can't remember, but it's a hiking trail association. We got permission from them, and Wayne did color printing. I've got a couple left, and we can always get more. People have requested them, and it's a very nice basic manual about how to maintain trails. Let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, for the blog, I'm really looking for some assistance to do the Green Team blog, because I keep making content and then I just keep not getting it on the blog, as Christian knows, because he's helped me, and so has Cody. And the next idea I had was to make one that says, let's look at summer in the middle of winter, and have a pollinator quiz based on all the pictures of pollinators. We have so many. Both Logans took pictures. I took pictures. I think I can't even remember all the people that have sent pictures in, but I thought it would be kind of cool to make a pollinator quiz on the blog. And then throughout the semester for the blog, how was I going to do that? Oh, I wrote out a bunch of things about the John Lambert Trail, and it was something I was doing for an independent study with Tom Tyning. So what I would really, really like to do is break that up into maybe 3 or 4 parts and put information about the trail onto the blog. So if anybody's really good at blogging, it'd be really great to hook up and talk to somebody and get help with doing that. And I think that's it for now. So sorry I'm talking so fast. I had a lot of coffee.
No, you're good, Roberta. The world runs on coffee some days, especially this time of year. Now, I saw Cody nodding a bunch when you were mentioning help. I'm sure Cody would be available to help you. However, if anyone else has any skills with WordPress, writing blogs, HTML, it's not super difficult stuff, but if you'd like to help Roberta out, feel free to reach out to her. And even maybe Cody could sit down with like another person too and kind of go over the ropes. So then Roberta kind of has a backup, someone who can give her a hand to get all of that excellent content published.
Yeah, happy to help with that. I mean, even if you have like what you want to put in a blog post, like in a Word document already, we can kind of go through the steps of getting that into the platform of WordPress pretty easily. There's just a couple little things we'd have to do. But you don't have to be like composing everything in there unless you want to.
Cool. Sounds good. And I see a thumbs up from Roberta.
Awesome. Yay.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And still, my offer holds. If you have any HTML or WordPress expertise, touch base with Roberta and see if you can work together. Okay, so that is all of the items that were on our official agenda. Now we are going to open for any topics, unless anybody has any questions for Roberta, any other topics folks might want to bring up. Not seeing any. So I will put in a super quick plug that I'm working with Frank and Bruce Wynn to possibly offer over the summer as a summer workshop, a workshop to help prepare people to get their FAA drone certification. Folks might know that I think I'm still the only person at BCC that has their FAA drone certification, which is really required to do any real work with a drone on campus. So if folks are interested in that, keep an eye out for summer workshops, because I think we're going to offer it several times, but the whole idea is that it would be a lot of information, some practice flying, and a preparation course so that you can get your FAA Part 107 drone certification, which comes in handy for all kinds of projects. We've got lots of drone video of the nature trail, and I know Jay and the folks in marketing are always asking me to get some nice photos of campus, video of campus. So if that sounds like something you might also be interested in, reach out, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, check those summer workshops. And it's going to be open to just about anybody too. So if you know any real estate agents that are out there flying drones, make sure they know they could get a big fine from the FAA if they're caught doing that for business purposes. You need to have your certification. All right. Anything else anybody would like to mention? Going once.
Introduce myself since it's the first time I'm on the meeting. I'm Kathy Baugh with the STEM Starter Academy.
Excellent, Kathy. It's nice to meet you. That must mean that you work with Colin and all those awesome folks up there, right?
I sure do. Yep.
Excellent. Yes, Colin's always been a fan of the Green Team. He doesn't come to meetings, but he's always helping us get projects done, which is always great. Great. It's good to have you, Kathy. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
All right. Anything from anybody else before we wrap it up for today? And Roberta's asking if anybody knows anything about the actual person, John Lambert. Was that your question, Roberta?
Yes, I haven't been able to find much at all, even kind of scouring the internet.
Hmm.
So I'm guessing,
Well,
you know, he was a pretty cool dude, but I don't know how to find out more.
I see Linda turned her camera on and unmuted. We might have
Did.
some
I
help
didn't even
here.
know I turned the camera off, but that's okay. Yeah. You know Frank Shikor, right? Long ago, about 20
Sure.
something years ago, that was John Lambert. And he was the first boss I had here. That's going back a number of years.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was a really cool dude. He worked over in environmental and did like water quality type environmental courses and those kind of things.
Nice.
Really got his hands dirty. As I recall, he had a really dry sense of humor. You know,
Excellent.
he would just like totally talk at you deadpan in the face, and he would be like joking. And I'd almost always fall for it too. Great guy though. Yeah.
So based on what Linda just said, Roberta,
Yep.
I'm going to suggest that you reach out to Karen in the library. Do you know Karen in the library?
Sure do. Yep.
She is one of our master researchers, and I bet you that she could probably find you some information on John Lambert, the person.
Oh, that sounds like a plan. And also going over to find some time with Frank. That would be really cool. And Linda, I'd love to talk to you more too.
So there's a bunch of avenues for you to explore, and I would like to see whatever you find. Just make sure when you reach out to Karen, make sure you let her know that she's not to spend 8 hours a day, all day, just doing research, because she loves to do research, but sometimes she goes a little overboard.
Yeah, I was thinking just mainly to include a piece because Tom wanted me to separate the document that I made that I finished in December. And he wanted me to separate it into 3 parts and make it into 3 blogs. And I thought a piece of one of those blogs should tell people who is John Lambert or who was John Lambert.
You know, that's an amazing question, because I've been on the nature trail tons and tons of times, and I've never even been curious as to who John Lambert was. So I'm glad you made me think about it.
Thank you, Linda, also. That's great.
Excellent. All right, anything from anybody else before we call it a meeting? We got a lot done in this first meeting of the spring semester. Okay, I am not seeing anything, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. If anybody has any questions, you know how to reach out to us. You can reach out to either me, Cody, Linda, or Sean, who's not here. We're all the co-chairs of the green team, so feel free to reach out to all of us at once, even if you like. Okay, thank you, everybody. Keep an eye on your calendars. We'll have more meetings this time 3 weeks from now. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, everybody.